Hi, my name's Nadia and today we're going to talk about Godkiller by Hannah Kaner. And it's really hard to avoid this book at the minute if you're on BookTube, Bookstagram, anywhere that talks about books, because it is everywhere. And rightly so. I think this book is incredibly clever. But this video came about from conversations in my DMs on Instagram and Twitter about how I felt like I was aged out of this book. And it's a really hard yet interesting discussion to have. So that's what we're going to get into today. Quite simply, Godkiller is a story of the Godkiller Kissen and how she stumbles upon a little girl called Inara who is coupled to the god of white lies, and how she wants to help this pairing. And it also follows the story of a disillusioned knight and a king whose kingdom is based on a lie. And it's a high fantasy where trouble ensues. This story is incredibly clever. Everything about this book is clever. If I wanted to publish in fantasy right now, I'd buy this book, I would study it. I would study everything from chapter length to word count to the character development, the representation within the story, the themes and topics that are mentioned within the book. Also, I would study the publisher, which is Harper Voyager, and the cover artist, who is Tom Roberts. I think the overlapping of all of these people, of the writer Hannah Kaner to the artists, to the work with Illumicrates and all of the special editions and Waterstones, they're stunning. Everything about this book is stunning. Yet, I feel like I'm not the target reader or target demographic, which is kind of hard for me because I love high fantasy. And this book got me out of the worst reading slump that I have ever been in. Thank you, Sarah J. Maas, because Crescent City is hard for me. But Godkiller is clever. It is a clever book. It is a book that makes me smile, and it is a book that makes me want to talk about books. And any writer who can create something that evokes such strong emotions in people deserves to be applauded, because you never want to create something that is middle of the road, and this book is not that. This book, I think, is an amazing introduction to high fantasy. I think if I was in the age bracket of 17 to 25, 17 to 30 maybe even 35, that it would fit me, that this would be it. But I come from growing up with Philip Pullman, and I couldn't help but when I was reading this book relate it to The Golden Compass, Northern Lights, and the Lyra and Pentalemon coupling. And for some reason in my head it just linked the two. But I really do think that, I think Hannah is incredibly lucky to find a home with Harper Voyager, because the team that put this together, that helped, the editors did an amazing job. The cover artists. Like, how many of you bought this book on the cover alone? Or like the Illumicrate subscriptions, the book jackets, the end covers, they're stunning. Every iteration of this book that you see is stunning, and it's so easy to create that with the characters that Hannah has made. And I really, really do encourage you that if you are watching this video, to click the link below and watch Hannah's interview, where she talks about her development and her research, and you can see how much she loves the world that she built, but also how clever she was as a writer and the decisions that she made. I really do think that if you're an independent writer, or you're thinking of writing, or you write in your spare time one day, the hope that you want to get published, please just watch this video. Unfortunately for me, this book, it was like tastes of what I wanted. The chapters were too short for me. I really wanted to dive into this world more. I wanted more descriptions. I wanted more backstories. I wanted there just to be more, and that is a really good thing as a reader or as a writer looking at a reader. You want your readers to want more because you want them to come back for book 2, and I really do think that this story is going to evolve and grow into something truly wonderful. All of the building stones are there. Kissen is easy to fall in love with. She's a wonderful, wonderful character. She makes me giggle, though Inara is the one for me. I mean, she's a little, I think truly as an adult reading fantasy, it's hard to fall in love with a book where a child is the main character because so often they irk me. And as a mum with kids, you can see how often sometimes those characters just aren't written well. Here, Inara is strong. There is a defiance in her that is good. She is a child who is lost and alone and is going through trauma and dealing with it like a child. And I think Hannah did an amazing job of that. I don't think that Hannah ever wrote a chapter where she didn't do research, and for that I have truly a lot of respect for her as a writer, and it would make me pick up more books from her. It hurts my heart a little that I didn't connect with the story in the way that I thought that I would, and I do genuinely think it's my age that is the issue. I think if you are 16 maybe and you read this book, you're going to connect with it, and it's going to be a hard book for you, and it's going to be a hard 5 stars. I think coming from reading Sanderson and Gwyn and Hobb and that kind of high fantasy back into something like Godkiller, it wasn't enough for me. I just kept wanting more and more, and it kind of makes me a little sad. But I do think that if you want a high stakes game where you truly get well written representation, get the book, read it, even if it is an ebook copy. If you are unsure, buy the ebook. Then decide if you want to go out and purchase it for your bookshelves. That is what I did. I saw a book talk of Godkiller. I was like, that book is going to get me out of my reading slump. I knew that it was, bought it, read it, consumed it within like 2 to 3 days, and I don't regret a thing. I loved the God of Little White Lies. I thought he was really good. He did everything that I wanted at the time in the book that I wanted it. I wanted more. And that is the only reason that I just won't give this book 5 stars, and that's the only reason. Just because for me it didn't get that itch. And some of it I think was the writing style. I didn't quite connect with it in the way that I thought that I would. Which made me, I don't know, it did, as the story went on and the book got more, and you move through this, as the story went on and you move through the reading, everything did get much stronger, much faster, but that's how book 1s of trilogies go. So I do think the pacing's on point. I think the editing is on point. I think there were 2 sentences in the entire book that made me kind of twitch a little, because they didn't fit quite right. They didn't land quite right. And I know that one of them was the your body, your choice conversation on the pilgrimage. And I am definitely in the camp of your body, your choice. And I felt like if there was more of a backstory and we had really invested in those characters and the chapters were longer, that wouldn't have twitched my eye as much, which leads me to another reason I think I got aged out of this. So I work largely in copywriting and marketing, and the discussions that we have been having have been in around readers' attention spans decreasing, which leads me into wondering if this is where the new fantasy genre and area is going. Like even Priory of an Orange Tree, it was a chunky book, but really, you know, the word count, it was long, but not astoundingly long, right? It was still doable. People were put off by the chunkiness of the book, but there is a huge demand, right, for high quality fantasy books of this type where people can consume them, read them, and move on and update Goodreads and update the number of books that they've had in a year. I don't fully understand that, to be honest, because I want to consume books and I want to love them, but I'm not really worried about my book count of the year, but I know that there are people who are, and that means something to them. And I think that this book fits that demographic incredibly well. It checks the box for book talk. It checks the box for, if you're commuting, this book is amazing because the chapters are short. And you can consume them. And it really does open the questions and the door for more discussions, or open the door for more questions and discussions around, is this where fantasy writing is going? Because a lot of the books that I have been recommended have been on the shorter side. And often I'm wondering, is that to do with that younger demographic and their attention spans and attention spans for world building? And it's discussions that, like, marketing have been having for more of a sales page, web development, how people consume information on a screen. So I'm kind of wondering, is that now moving over into books? And that makes me really excited. Conversations like that make me excited because it shows a change, like a generational change. And when that starts coming into literature, it's really exciting. And I really do think that this book is one that should be studied, even for reasons like that. Like, if you love this book, or if you're unsure about this book and you're aged out about this book, watch the book talk, watch Booktube, watch Bookstagram, listen to what the reviewers who are giving it 5 stars are saying. First of all, did they read the book? Are they like saying all the same thing that every other reviewer has actually said? Like, do you feel like this person has actually read the book? What age demographic would you put this person in? What other books has this person actually read? What other books are they recommending? Are they recommending the same books that everyone else is recommending? Do you have an affinity with what it is that they're saying? Do they actually discuss chapter length? Do they discuss the writing within the book? I think that particularly, I think with Godkiller, that there is a lot of telling, not showing, but I think that that's a stylistic choice almost with how the writer wants to tell the story. And I think that that was one of my blocking paths as well, to really engaging with this book. But am I going to buy book 2? Yes, I'm going to buy book 2. I'm going to pre-order book 2. I'm probably going to get a special edition. I'm probably going to have it on pride of place in my shelves, and I will introduce this book to my kids when they become to the right age to read it. And the reason why is because of the representation, how it's written, how the author researched that and then highlighted this. Disability isn't even a main narrative in this book. Sign language is just there. It's like a matter of fact, and you keep reading. It isn't something that needs to be fixed. It isn't something that needs to be changed. It's just a matter of a fact. It is part of her life. She adapts, and it is who she is as a character, but it doesn't define her. And the same with the secondary characters as well. Doesn't define them, and for that I think it should be really, really applauded. It is such a good job. So from me, I'm going to go, because you've heard me talk about this book way too much. Go, investigate, pick up a copy, see if you agree with me, see if you disagree with me. Leave a comment below if you felt any of the same things that I did. If you think I'm completely wrong, completely crazy, and I need to read it again, tell me. If there are sections of this book that you absolutely love, let me know. The other thing I would love to know is if you have a favourite quote from this book. Because I read this book and I highlighted 2 sections, and they were both 1-sentence landings of something that I thought that was done incredibly well, and I will leave them linked below as well, and I will put them in Goodreads. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and if you wanted to know what I'm reading next, I am reading Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldier, I think. It is a high-stakes game of coffee and pastry, so I will let you know what I think of that book next week.